I didn't really fully take notice of the Atlantis story until I had researched something called the Younger Dryas Comet Impact. And if you don't know what that is, like, Google it immediately because it's so relevant to human history. But in a nutshell, a lot of scientists are now concluding that around the time of the last ice age, which was about 12,600 years ago, there was a time when the weather on the planet Earth changed dramatically. A comet impact, or a series of comet impacts, that would have completely melted the ice age as it was then and caused huge cataclysms and tsunamis all the way around the globe, and might be the reason why every ancient civilization in the world has a flood story or a cataclysm story or some kind of disaster movie written into the history. What a coincidence. Science is telling us that there are 4 or 5 impact sites over North America, the North American ice sheet. And what these comets would have done, they would have whacked into North America, immediately melted miles and miles thick of ice, and then sent this ice in all directions in this huge tsunamis that would have then been ripping up literally pieces of the earth, turning it into a huge tsunami of like churning rocks and death, and basically spreading it over about 2/3 of the globe, destroying literally everything in its path. Quite a bad day. If you're still with me, great. The date that the geologists and the scientists are saying that these comet impacts happened is around 12,600 years ago. And then if we look at the story of the history of Atlantis and the date that the Egyptians told Solon that this cataclysm happened, the dates match up. And that's what got my attention. The Egyptian priest told Solon that 9,000 years ago, Atlantis got destroyed in a day and a night. And the date that Solon was told that was 600 BC. And the date that science tells us a comet hit the world, 9,600 BC. And the chances of one story lining up with the science, okay, you've got my attention. You have my attention. Personally, I don't think that we're going to find Atlantis at the bottom of the sea. That's not what I believe what the text tells us. The story says that Atlantis fell into the sea or got destroyed. But it says that, and afterwards, you couldn't go there anymore to the city because it was surrounded by mud, by like a mud barrier. And therefore you couldn't sail. No more water. It's not under the sea. It's either one of two things. On land, mud, earth, or in some sort of bog, marshy, boggy area, like a delta, and you can't sail there anymore because there's literally earthy, muddy bog that's stopping you from going there. I used to think of Atlantis, I used to think of literally like a tiny island.
A cute little island that like dropped into the ocean.
No. In the translation of the text, the word for island can also mean like peninsula or sort of area. It doesn't necessarily translate directly to island. It can also be like area of land. Atlantis was actually just the capital city of a huge empire, a civilization, the Atlantean Empire, which had 10 cities and 10 kings. This place was huge. I think it covered huge parts of the world. And Atlantis with the circles, as we like, the classic Atlantis that we like to look for, was just the city center on one of the islands or one of the peninsulas or one of the areas. But the whole civilization was kind of everywhere. Like, this is going to be a big place. My 3 locations where I think Atlantis possibly was are in that strip of the world. Number 1, the Richat structure. Richat structure. I have a very, very strong feeling that this might possibly be the location. It fits so many of Plato's descriptions. The fact that there were the mountains, the plain, the color of the rock, the black and the red and the white rock, the springs, the spring of fresh water is literally there. The fact that there are elephants on the island makes sense because the Richat structure is the Eye of the Sahara. It's in West Africa.